A new victim joins the chain of attacks and murder that has been targeting the athletes of Acapulco. With the murder of the wrestler Rayo, who appeared drowned on the beach, there are now 5 known immolated victims of the mysterious assassin, who up to date hasn't been caught.
I communicated with the person that can help us, the Batwoman.
What did you find, Doctor?
They took secretions from his pineal gland.
And that means the murderer must be a medic.
Yes, he's an incredible surgeon.
We'll have to make another experiment to create our fishman.
When, Doctor?
Right now. As soon as possible. We need athletic men. Men with supreme physical prowess.
Tell Dr. Williams that everything is ready for this afternoon's operation.
Freeze!
My vengeance will be horrible. Horrible! I wish to start the second phase of my project.
What will be the second phase, Master?
The creation of a fish woman. And I don't need to tell you who we will use. The Batwoman.
The following is a paid advertisement. Really? A paid advertisement? Wait, the B-Movie Cast got paid? Yes, the following is a paid advertisement. This episode of the B-Movie Cast is brought to you by the estate planning services of Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law. Remember, when the zombie apocalypse comes, things will move pretty fast.
The body should be disposed of at once, preferably by cremation.
Well, how long after death, then, does the body become reactivated?
It's only a matter of minutes.
Minutes? Well, that doesn't give people time to make any arrangements.
Oh, you're right. It doesn't give them time to make funeral arrangements. The bodies must be carried to the street and burned. They must be burned immediately. Soak them with gasoline and burn them. The bereaved will have to forego the dubious comforts that a funeral service will give. They're just dead flesh and dangerous.
So don't leave your estate planning needs until the last minute, because you don't know when that last minute could come. Call Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, at 859-351-2294. That's 859-351-2294. Remember, when you go, you don't want people saying,
"Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up."
Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, is licensed for practice in the state of Kentucky. Consult your local attorney for matters outside of the state of Kentucky.
Command mark. The time will be running at X minus 20 seconds. Mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire.
Spawned by the continuing decline and fall of society as we know it, and created on the second-floor spare-bedroom studio in the Piedmont of South Carolina. Podcasting on a shoestring budget and changing the world one freak at a time. It's the B-Movie Cast with your host, Vince Rotolo.
From coast to coast and worldwide via the internet, this is the B-Movie Cast, the podcast of unusual film and television.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to the B-Movie Clubhouse for episode 475 of the B-Movie Cast. Before I go any farther, I want to get our contact information out of the way. We love hearing from all of you, so we have a feedback segment devoted to your comments and suggestions, and this is how you can contact us. Option 1, pick up your phone and dial 888-936-0808. This is a toll-free number and a very easy way to leave a voice message. Option 2, you can make your own MP3 file and send it in to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Or use your smartphone voice software and record a call, then just send that in as an attachment instead. Or option 3, if you're not into talking, you can just shoot us an email to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Our website is bmoviecast.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast. It's free, and there you can join us on the Facebook B-Moviecast fan page and letterbox. Also, you can play the contest by sending in your answer by email to bmoviecast@gmail.com with contest in the subject line. And check out the links while you're there, or buy a T-shirt. I currently have smalls to 4Xs. If you want to help us financially, there's a donation box you can click on as a supporter on the Lugosi, Karloff, Agar, and the infamous Xanadu level through PayPal. Also, the easiest way to donate is to click on the Amazon bar on the right side of our homepage. This Amazon link will take you to Amazon.com to make your purchase. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can still log into your personal accounts when you get there. It's completely private, so think about us before you buy online. So now, through the miracle of modern technology and thousands of miles of wires, server farms, PCs, Macs, the Internet, and duct tape, we have our co-host from Lexington, Kentucky, author, editor, screenwriter, film producer, Nick Brown. He has a new website. It is authornickbrown.com. That's AuthorNicBrown.com. He is the author of the Werewolf for Hire book series, starting with Blood Curse. He's also selling a book in collaboration with his wife, Fiona, the B-Movie Cookbook. All of these are available on Amazon. He's produced 2 movies, Wretch and Loss Prevention. Both can be ordered on Blu-rays or DVDs through Amazon. He is also the producer of a 3rd film, the soon-to-be-released Fall of Usher. And as Nick always says, spoiler alert, today's film is a Juan pick. It's The Batwoman from 1968, a.k.a. Okay, say it, Juan.
La Mujer Murciélago.
Thank you. It's a Mexican horror. I know. It's a Mexican horror adventure sci-fi movie directed by Rene Cardona and written by Alfredo Salazar. It has quite a pedigree. I watched the beautiful dubbed Blu-ray that Juan sent. By the way, if you guys want a copy, contact Juan. And Juan is at... Okay. Say your website, Juan.
Oh, okay. I'm at the www.fifthdimensionfilms.net. Remember, it's .net, not .com.
Okay. And I love the movie. It was a beautiful copy. It's dubbed, so you don't have to read subtitles. And I loved it. It probably helped that my new next door neighbors, Max and Anna, came over with a bottle of wine. So that,
Wait, so you subjected your new next door neighbors to the Batwoman?
I know, and they loved it.
Mary, you are just the awesome neighbor, in my opinion.
They moved in like over a year ago, when the pandemic started. So none of us have met each other, none of the new neighbors, because we've all kept our distance and maybe shouted across the yard or something. So this was like the first time, they ever came
And so
over.
you decided to give them the full Monty with
Well, I think they knew what they were in for when they came. I gave them a house tour, and they kind of saw everything in the house. And when I realized they weren't scared of being in the house, then I figured I could go on and play the movie.
Okay. But I got to tell you real quick, this was a tremendous project that was done. This is a double feature, by the way. The Blu-ray has 2 films on it, and the other movie, The Panther Woman, is another horror, wrestling, sci-fi with kind of the same cast that's in this film. They repeated the cast, and that's why they kind of put them together, because they kind of go together. You got all the actors, and that were in this film, they're in The Panther Woman. So I don't know if you got a chance to see The Panther Woman, which is in black and white, but when you get a chance, do see it.
Yeah.
And it is the second project done. The other one being Santo versus the not vampire. Santo versus the sex, El Vampiro and the Sexo. That one there. BCI went ahead and did these 2 films, or this project was done. They're trying to see if they can get some more Mexican horror, Santo, luchador movies with English dubbing. But they're working on that project. Right now, they only got just these 2, and they did a fantastic job with it.
Mm-hmm. They really did.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was well put together, like you said. Good little set.
Yeah. I mean, it had everything. It had evil scientists, an assistant named Igor, a lair that was a yacht named Reptilicus, which I loved.
Yeah.
A red gill creature controlled by implants. Cool. An old T-Bird. I love that car. Bunches of gadgets and bubbling tanks and wardrobe changes for Maramonte, the Batwoman, the multimillionaire luchador spy heroine, Batwoman. And it was in Acapulco. It was just great. I loved it. I thought it was really cool.
I'm glad you liked it. I really am glad you liked it, really.
Yeah, the quality of those underwater dive scenes really surprised me. They were good. They weren't, I don't know who the...
No, it didn't look cheaply made, is what you're trying to say, Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, on top of everything else, somebody had to have a boat that they were willing to let the word Reptilicus be painted on the side of. You know.
That was a big boat.
It was a big boat.
So anyway, Batman, the film came out here in 1966, and this is in 68, so, you know, the movie was made because, you know, they were trying to cash in on the Batman phase and phenomenon.
Well, they did cash in on it, but they cashed in on it big time. And the problem, I mean, the thing there was that since it was shot and filmed in Mexico, you know, the U.S. is not going to go after them. Oh, you know, you're plagiarizing or you're infringing copyrights, you know, to the character of Batman. They didn't do anything. They went ahead and they did everything in this movie. They infringed the creature's copyright. They infringed a bunch of other stuff. You know, even that creature from the creature, but the character from the Land of the Lost, Nick, the little monster from Land of the Lost, Saturday morning cartoon. That's what he looked like, really, not the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Actually,
But anyway,
now that you said it, he did. He looks sort of like a slee stack.
The assistant.
Like a sleeve stack. Yes, he did. Yeah. So I mean, they got away with it, so they did it, you know, and it was very well put together. You know, when you got Rene Cardona, and then you got Alfredo Salazar, who's the brother of Abel Salazar from APSA Productions. They're going to put together some good stuff, and they did it with this film.
Yeah. I just have one question. I missed my mad scientist class when I was in school, so I'm not sure how they took pineal fluid from her brain. Pineal fluid from a brain, a goldfish, and an action figure doll, stuck them in a tank and turned it into a gill man.
It's called The Movie Had to Happen Magic.
Well, no, it's called actually Let's Make a Movie Without Having taking the brains of the wrestlers and making monsters out of them. This time around, we're going to take the pineal glands.
Yeah, but that's true. Why didn't they just... Well, I guess they couldn't throw him in a tank of water, the wrestler.
Well, that would have been weird, but, you know, it could have ended up being like the... It could have ended up being like the Brainiac. You know, that was an Abel Salazar movie, if I remember right. Yeah. And it could have ended up like that, where every now and then the Brainiac would open up his, you know, ceremonial pot of brains, and that was kind of gross, to be honest. So, you know, I'm very happy that they stuck to pineal fluid, because pretty much you never even got to see the pineal fluid. It's like, oh, there's some over there.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
You know, and even if you saw it, whatever, it could be Mountain Dew for all you know. But, you know, if it was brains, you know, it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
And this is from the guy who likes horror movies, mind you. But I still, for some reason, that pot of brains in the Brainiac always kind of grosses me out.
Wow.
I don't know.
Cool. Now I know how to get you.
Well, okay, Mary, first of all, what are you going to do? Get a pot and fill it with brains and then present it to me to get me? If you do that, Mary, I will be thoroughly impressed that you went to that much trouble to get me. Okay.
I'd send it through the mail, but the brains might rot by then. I'll have to figure out
Jesus,
some way
Mary.
You
just made me kind of throw up a little bit in my mouth.
Maybe we got to get on with the contest now.
Yeah. Do we have a contest? What's our contest?
The answer is Mitchell from 1975. I've never seen that.
You've never seen Mitchell with Joe Don Baker?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Oh, my God. It is the worst police movie ever. Mitchell's a cop that nobody could ever like.
Wow.
He is the he is the epitome of, like, I mean, he is such an unlikable character in this movie, but the entire movie is about him. But it's got a really good supporting cast, including John Saxon, among others.
Really?
But it's just, yes, really.
In Mitchell.
Wow. Okay, Mary, maybe we need to do Mitchell at some point.
No. Wait, didn't you just say it's the worst movie ever?
It's not. No, it is not the worst movie ever made. It's just he is the worst cop ever. And part of it. No, let me rephrase that. He's not the worst cop in this. The character Joe Don Baker plays in this is just the worst human.
Wow.
And he happens to be a cop. But the thing is, he's such an honest cop. But he's also a slob and a womanizer and a kind of a drunk a little bit. And he's just terrible, but he has this unwavering sense of ethics that just does not jive with his character at all. Wow. You know, and so he's this sloppy cop that nobody likes, but he's going to get the bad guys because they're doing bad. And, you know, he's just not a good human in it, though. You know, and my favorite part is the fact that Linda Evans, at the height of her beauty, was there playing a prostitute, and she ends up falling in love with him.
Ew.
And I'm just sitting there going, "This is the most unlikely thing ever."
She's a good actress.
Well, she was in this, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but anyway. I don't want to diss on Mitchell too much because I like Joe Don Baker, as a matter of fact.
Oh, no.
But what's wrong with liking Joe Don Baker?
I don't know. He kind of gives me the creeps.
Okay, you know what? We're going to stop because this is not about Mitchell.
Yeah, really.
This is the contest.
Yes, it is.
We will do Mitchell on another cast.
Okay. Our first movie today has been donated by Patrick Kelly. Woo! It's a Blu-ray from 1972 called Silent Running. Pat, I know. Pat
we
says,
did that on the show.
I know. I even remembered that. Pat says this post-apocalyptic movie was directed by Douglas Trumbull, one of the special effects geniuses behind 2001: A Space Odyssey. Bruce Stern plays a caretaker of a greenhouse that was launched into space to preserve some of the last vestiges of life on Earth. Silent Running was the subject of B-Movie Cast number 329. Woohoo! And the winner is Nick Stumpf.
All
right.
He won a movie, not a koozie, right?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I think he's only a half a koozie away from a car, Mary. I just,
Ooh, okay.
I'm just saying.
I'm saying I have very few koozies left, so I might run out of koozies before we give the car away.
So what are you going to give away when we run out of koozies, Mary?
I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet.
Okay, just checking.
Any suggestions would be good right now.
Money. Just straight up cash.
Yeah, right. Sure. You going to donate that?
From my vast pay that I get doing the show.
Okay, our second movie prize has again been donated by Patrick Kelly, but this was something he donated a while ago. It's a DVD called Pharaoh's Curse from 1957. It's a horror film directed by Lee Rollum Sholem. He also directed movies like Tobor the Great, Superman, and The Mole Men. And this movie was written by Richard H. Landau. It stars Mark Dana, Ziva Rodan, and Diane Brewster. It's a mummy movie with a twist. The mummy's a little different from most of the other movie mummies. It's really one of the expedition members whose body has been possessed by the mummy's vengeful spirit. Oh, and it sucks blood. Mummies don't
they all?
Yeah, right. Okay, and the winner of this movie is...
apparently the winner is an explosion.
It's rolling across the room right now.
Okay, folks, just to pause for a second, Mary. Yes, Mary does use real balls in a real bucket. to do this contest. That's not a special effect. That noise is actual ping pong balls with numbers written on them, rolling around in a bucket. Okay, proceed, Mary.
Well, this one I dropped on the floor, so it was rolling across the...
Well, you better not eat it, then.
The studio, yeah. Okay. Okay, well, congratulations, Matt. You won Pharaoh's Curse. And our last prize is a B-Movie Cast koozie. And that goes to Mike Shidurlo. I'm sorry, Mike. I just mess your name up all the time. But he gets the koozie. So congratulations, everybody.
All right. Rock on, koozies.
Yes, yes. I guess I could get more koozies printed, but nah.
You could.
I'll do something else.
Yeah, you could.
Somebody come up with some suggestions, please.
I'll work on that, Mary.
Okay, thank you. Keychains or something.
Keychains, that's it. For the keys to the car you're going to give away when somebody gets 10 koozies, right?
I don't know if I have that many left.
Well, everybody's got 9, Mary. It's just a matter of whoever gets that 10th one.
Well, yeah. I'm going to have to believe them when they get it because I haven't kept track of it and I don't feel like going through all that paperwork and trying to figure out who it is.
Fair enough.
Okay. So anyway, on with the show. The Batwoman.
The Batwoman.
Yeah. Okay, the one thing that really bugged me was, I mean, she parachutes out of planes, she dives with tanks on her back, she beats up everybody, and yet at the end of the movie she sees a mouse and jumps.
Okay, wow, skipped right to the end of the movie, didn't you, Mary?
Yeah, but that
just
really...
skipped right to the spoiler.
That was really...
That's a big-time spoiler there, Mary.
Damn.
That's how annoying it was to me. It's like, really, people, did you have to do that?
I'm going to say they did it because, hey, it needed to be done.
Oh.
No, it was kind of the joke, Mary. Remember at the time when that was the joke, hey, women and elephants are scared of mice.
Oh.
I've always thought that was weird because most of the women I know, if they saw a mouse and they were not, oh, isn't that a cute little mouse, they'd be like, I'm going to kill it. And they just kill it and move on. I don't know anybody that goes, it's a mouse, and goes running off. So.
I don't either.
But anyway, yeah, she was quite the heroine, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, you said she dives with tanks on her back. Even more impressive, she did some diving without tanks on her back. She was just totally holding her breath that first time when she was by herself in the water.
That's true.
Yeah, that was just total, hey, I'm just going to go diving down.
That was free diving.
My breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was free diving, and that impresses me a lot because I can only hold my breath for about 5 seconds. So, you think I'm kidding. I'm not. I am terrible at holding my breath. So,
Yeah.
I'm impressed as all get out by that. Mm-hmm. But anyhow.
Yep. Dead silence.
Well, I guess that's the end of the movie. So, the Batwoman, she free dives, and she's afraid of mice. The next B-movie.
And she drives a car that looks like the Batmobile.
That's true.
That is true. That T-Bird did kind of look like a...
Yeah.
It had fins on the back.
That's probably why they used it.
Wait,
Wow.
that just occurred to you, Mary?
Yes.
Oh.
I was just so amazed to see a T-Bird because I love those.
My spleen just ached a little bit at that, Mary.
Besides the fact that the movie was shot entirely on location in Acapulco, they used the entire ocean view scenery. The hills and going around. That was wonderful footage.
Yeah.
Because if you've never been to Acapulco, or if you have, a lot of people tourists go and they take that drive. It's called the Ocean View Drive, and you go around these mountains, and it's like almost like driving on Southern California when you drive down there by L.A. along the coast and stuff like that by the mountains. You know, you get that ocean view as you drive. That's the way it was for this one with Acapulco. So they wanted to pick I guess the best scenery and a lot of water, because a lot of the film had to do with being in boats, in the water, in the ocean, and things like that. So, not a whole lot of wrestling. There was a little bit, but it's not like your Santo movies where you got 25 minutes of wrestling.
That's true.
She did have a little short time in the ring and wrestled a little bit. Then in the gym, she was wrestling. But other than that, man, she was pretty good. I got to tell you, this movie has everything, guys. Everything. Yeah. But I want to talk real quick a little bit about the cast and maybe the director and the producer, just to give you a quick synopsis with them, because the characters in this film, the actors and actor, of course, she's not a stranger to Mexican movie horror and sci-fi, Maura Monti. Well, let me talk about the director first real quick. I got to talk Cardona. Now, the director, Rene Cardona, is not new. He's not new to filmmaking. With over 350 credits to his title, starting back in the 40s. And believe it or not, Rene Cardona was born and raised in Havana, Cuba. He's Cuban. He was Cuban. He's not Mexican. And he came to the States at a very young age and decided to make it. He was living in the States, learned English, and became very, very engulfed in filmmaking in the early beginnings. I'm talking about the 1950s.
Didn't he start out as an actor? Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was an actor. Yeah. He was a director, a unit director. He was a producer. He even did storyboards and storylines for a lot of the films, and he also acted in the films himself. The ones that I want to mention real quick, there's three films that he did were American films, believe it or not. He directed the Mexican crew version of the film. And I'm talking about Westerns. You got one Western, what's called Sitting Bull, where he was the director, where he directed the entire Mexican crew in the film. And it had to do, of course, with Sitting Bull, and it was an adventure Western, an American Western. So he's got credits in the film and everything.
Okay, one question. Was he... excuse me, was when he directed the Mexican Crew, was that like a whole separate movie that just went to Mexico, or was that just the crew?
It was an entire film crew that he took from Mexico. They brought him to the States to do the filming. Just all the scenes in the films that involves the Mexican, the shootouts in there, with the rancheros and the farm.
Okay.
That's Cardona.
Okay, so
with them.
It wasn't like a separate movie made just for Mexico. He just did the Mexican portions. Okay,
right.
Cool.
And then the other two movies that he did, which was White Feather in '55, he was also a director. He was a second unit director on the film. Again, another Western, okay, where it would involve Mexican stuff. Remember, a lot of the Mexicans in these films back in the '50s did not know any English. They were just there as extras and background scenery, and when they talked in Spanish. So Cardona was there as like a assistant director or unit director, or to help provide the sceneries complete for the film, because he did a tremendous job. Then you jump up to 1970, and he did Two Mules for Sister Sarah. He was the second unit director for that movie, which was an American film. Of course, Clint Eastwood. So, I mean, and you see these in the credits and everything. I said, wow. But then after that, he decided to come back to his roots. He wanted to go to Mexico and wanted to start out big. And, he did so many movies between 45, 48, up into the 50s. The big break came in 1954 for him when he did the storyline, the storyboard for the movie El Enmascarado de Plata, which is the Silver Masked Man, which happens to be the Santo origin film in a serial form in 1954. And it was the movie that Santo refused to do. He didn't want to do that movie. He was already into the wrestling, and Cardona, he did the entire storyboard for that film. Not only that, he was in the movie himself. He was one of the newspaper reporters in the film of Mascarado de Plata. Then you jump up to the late 50s, 59. He did the movie Santa Claus. He did the storyboards for that. And then you jump up to the 1960s. In 65, he did a movie called Neutron, Traps the Invisible Killers. And it wasn't Neutron, the Neutron that we know, the black mask Neutron.
Yeah.
This was a different Neutron. He was a gold masked Avenger that turned invisible. Okay?
Wait, what?
So yes,
so
he was
neutrons.
A wrestler, a gold wrestler, a gold masked wrestler that can turn invisible.
Okay.
And then so the movie involves this mask. It's like a Santo character trapping and trying to go after these killers that were also invisible. So there was invisibility in the movie, and Cardona, he produced that one in 65. That was a great movie, and
okay, I gotta ask a question, Juan. So Neutron could turn invisible in that film, and the bad guys could turn invisible in that film.
Right.
Was at any point there a big fight scene where nothing was on screen, but you heard a lot of punching noises? I mean,
you see the guys falling back, and you see the guys like when they get hit, they just make believe that they get hit by somebody invisible. But yeah, there's a lot of fight scenes with invisible guys in there. They're killers.
Well, I was just thinking if we had invisible guys fighting invisible Neutron, then all you would have on the screen is nothing, and then occasionally some furniture would move, and you would just hear the sound of a couple of pieces of ham being smacked together, as the Foley for punching.
That would be a nice low-budget movie to make.
Oh, my God, that's brilliant. The Invisible Wrestlers.
Yeah.
And, yes, okay, I'm going to make that movie. Never mind.
Okay.
Excuse me, I have to leave. I'm going to make a movie right now.
You need to start writing the screenplay immediately.
Oh, let me know if you guys want to do that.
Carry on.
Down the road, let me know. We could do it. Okay. All right. So anyway, real quick with Cardona, I'm going to mention a few more movies, and then we're done with him.
Okay.
Of course, he went on to do many westerns in between. When he was doing these films, he did a lot of westerns. He produced and he did storylines and directed a lot of westerns. And then the second big break came after he on film, 65, and that same year, okay, he went to do Santo versus the Strangler, which was Santo versus like in the Mystery in the Wax Museum or the House of Wax. That's the one where you got the guy that looks like the House of Wax, like Vincent Price running around in a museum with figures. So Cardona was involved with that. But the guy, the bad guy in that one was Roberto Cañero, who's the bad guy in this movie, the evil scientist. He was in Santo versus the Strangler in 65, and then Cardona went on to do, in 1966, he went on to do Santo versus the Ghost of the Strangler, which again as the House of Wax disfigured character in that. And then from there on, the Panther Woman came, which is the second feature in this Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
He's in the film. Yeah, in the Panther Woman, Cardonas is actually in the film, and then he was in another Santo movie, 67, Operation 67. Then he did the Batwoman, which is this one, and then he did a few more Santo films. He did quite a few, and then he decided to do the Aztec mummy ones. So he was doing the Robot versus the Aztec mummy, the Luchador Women versus the Aztec mummy, Night of the Bloody Apes in 69, and then he went on to do Santo and the Treasure of Dracula, which is the one that we did. He did that one. And
hey, there's one called La Luchadoras versus
the Robot Assassin.
Yeah. Is that women?
Yeah, those are female wrestlers, and Mara Monti is in that one too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's wrestling women versus the Robot Assassin. Is what it is.
Okay.
Okay. And of course, the Santo versus the Treasure of Dracula, the Vampiro and the Santo and the Sex. He did back to westerns again. He started doing some more westerns, and then he decided to do the Santo Western called Santo versus the Riders of Terror, which is going against the Lepers in 1970. Cardona was very, very very active. He went on to do many Santo films in the 70s. He did like 4 or 5 more Santo films. He directed, he produced, and he was right in there with all these films. He had the touch. He knew the elements, and he did a fantastic job in all these films. So that's Rene Cardona. Okay, I mean I can go on and on with him, but I want to go to the next guy here because he's also very influential in what, in filmmaking too, you know. And I'm talking about none other than Alfredo Salazar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who did you say his brother was?
His brother was Abel Salazar.
Abel. Okay.
Big actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Salazar, Salazar, he was born in Mexico. He's Mexican. He was born in Mexico, and he's the writer, director, producer, and basically came into the play when his brother Abel, in 1956, 57, he put together the film company called APSA Film Corporation, and those are the brothers. That was Alfredo and Abel Salazar, and it did all the string of movies, the horror films that he did throughout the late 50s and the 60s. But Alfredo Salazar, I don't know if you remember when we did the Riders of the Skull. We did that one. You remember that?
Yep.
No. What was that one about?
The Riders of the Skull.
I don't remember.
The Zorro character that was fighting werewolves, the vampire, the Dracula, the headless horseman. Remember that one? We did that one. You don't remember that one.
Juan, I'm going to go ahead and tell you Mary does not remember it.
Yeah.
We did do it, though, Juan. Okay. I remember it.
Okay.
So, Mary, just take our word for it. We did it, and you enjoyed it, too.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Go back and listen to the podcast.
I'll just drag the movie back out and
Salazar
watch it.
he was in the film himself. He was one of the farmers that was running from the vampire, and bat came down and got on him and sucked his brains out. That was Alfredo Salazar on the ground there,
Okay.
Salazar did so many of the movies, all the Mummy movies, the Doctor Doom. He did a lot of horror westerns. He did the World of the Vampires that we did, the adaptation, the Curse of the Doll People. Alfredo Salazar was involved with the story and in the adaptation to that one too. So a lot of films, but basically a lot of horror films from the 1950s, 60s, and going into even the 70s.
Did he write those, or did he direct them?
No, he did the storyboards and the adaptation for a lot of them.
Okay.
Produced a lot of them. He didn't. The Aztec Mummy movies, the 3 Aztec Mummy movies, he did the entire original storylines for the 3 movies because they were like a sequel. There was one after the other. The Aztec Mummy, the Curse, and then the Aztec Mummy against the robot. So Salazar, he was involved with the storyboard of putting all of those together. Tremendous writer. He did The Witch, which we did a few years back. I know Nick really liked that one, La Bruja. Yep. Salazar was also involved with that one, which was fantastic. That was one of the good ones. Vince really liked that one a lot. And then, in between, he was doing a lot of westerns. He did horror westerns, and he was doing some. He did some rock and roll western. Rock and roll Mexican rock and roll movies. He did, But one of the most best ones to me that he didn't get credited for was Night of the Bloody Apes. He produced that film. He was the producer, but he never got credit for that. I don't know why they didn't give him the credit, because he was also the manager, the production manager for that and all these other films. So many of them.
Okay.
So that's Alfredo Salazar. Real quick, I want to go into a couple of the actress. I want to go with Maura Monti first. She's the main.
She's beautiful.
Main one. Of course, Maura. Actually, believe it or not, Maura Monti is Italian. She was not Mexican. She was not Cuban. She was not Spanish. She was Italian. Okay, and she was born in Italy, in Milan. So, but she knew English so well. She knew the Italian, and she came to Mexico at a very young age, and they said, "Well, I'm going to speak Spanish, and I'm going to pick it up." And she started speaking more Spanish, and she kind of forgot her Italian roots. But
they're so close.
She is definitely
Italian and
yes,
Spanish
they are
so close. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the Latin in it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now Mara's only got like maybe 40 titles under her belt. Films that she did, only about 38 or 40 films, and then she started a career out actually she started a career in the 60s, in the early 60s, but and she was doing some westerns, but then she actually got one of the leading roles as one of the female invaders in the Planet of the Female Invaders with Lorena Velasquez in '66. That's where she got noticed for her body and her figure. Mm-hmm. And then, to do this film, the Batwoman film, and also to do the Panther Woman, because a lot of bikini and a lot of stuff where you can, show her body. She was also Aphrodite in the movie Santo versus the Martian Invasion. Remember that one? I don't know if you guys remember that one or not. But anyway, she did this one here, the Batwoman, and then she was in some Blue Demon films. She did a couple of Blue Demon films in '68. She crossed over. And she went on to do a couple of horror ones. In '68 also, she did a couple of more horror ones with, what's the name? Another actress, Terry Velasquez, who's the sister of Lorena Velasquez.
Oh.
So she was very well known. I mean, and she did Las Vampiras in 1969. That's one of my favorites. But she was one of the vampire women in that one. And John Carradine was Dracula in that one, in Las Vampiras from 1969. So she was in that, and she went on to do stuff.
Did we ever do that one?
Now, the last film that she did, what?
Did we ever do the vampires?
No.
No?
We didn't do the Las Vampiras. We have never done that one, no. That's a good one.
Yeah,
with John
Carradine in it. Yeah. Put that on the list.
Well, her last movie that she did,
on the very short list.
Put it on the list?
Put it on the list.
Yeah, you like it.
Okay.
Las Vampiras. Well, not only that, but Blue Demon is also in that. Not Blue Demon, but Mil Máscaras is in it. Oh. Okay, so the last movie that I want to talk about with her, with Maura Monti, was the 1971 Boris Karloff made in Mexico film called The Alien Terror. Boris Karloff, yes, because Boris Karloff went to Mexico. Jack Hill, the director over here, he got Boris to go to Mexico and do 4 Mexican horror films. Real cheesy, real bad. This was the last days of Karloff. He was at the very end. I mean, he went there and he did these films. He really didn't want to do them, but, he said, okay, I'll do them. So Maura Monti was she was the doctor, Isabel Reed, with Boris Karloff in The Alien Terror. That was the last film that she did. So it's kind of like a little trivia there, with her.
Jack Hill
Next
directed
up is Roberto Cañedo. Yeah, Jack Hill.
Oh.
He did those movies. He did The Alien Terror and did 3 other Boris Karloff films that were shot in Mexico. Mexican films.
Didn't we do one with him that he was in an airplane?
I don't recall, Mary. I don't know.
Remember the name of the movie. Okay, never mind.
Then we got our evil scientist, Roberto Cañedo. Roberto Cañedo, yeah. And this guy here is always a bad guy. I mean, in these movies, he was always either an evil scientist, a bad guy, he was a creature, a hideous demon, something bad. I mean, about Roberto Cañedo, and again, he died kind of, he died in 98, but he was born in Guadalajara, Mexico, and he was raised there, but his career spanned over 320 titles, a lot of movies, but again,
Did he have that goofy mustache in all of them? Did he have that goofy mustache?
The ones that he did, the majority. But I say there was the ones that he did in the 40s. He did some movies in the 40s, in the early 40s. He did not have a mustache.
Oh, okay.
You know, he did the movie the Man in the Iron Mask in '43. He was Aramis in that one. He didn't have a mustache. And then he did some other ones, Doña Barbara, Les Miserables. He was doing a lot of Broadway plays turned into movies and stuff. He did Christopher Columbus in '43. He did a lot of them in the early 40s. But then when you jump up to the 50s, you know, you go up into the later years, he wanted to venture out of that, the historical dramas and those kind of movies, and wanted to go into more in action type movies. So I mean, the big break for him, for Roberto, again, you know, he's a very prolific Mexican actor. He did so many. A lot of his movies are really good. I mean, I've watched a lot of his non-horror films, and he was a very good actor in the majority, I would say.
Okay.
But you know, he was a gangster in many of them. He portrayed a farmer in some westerns, and he played good roles and he played bad roles. But I think his biggest his fame, his rise to fame was trying to be the evil guy and being a bad guy, and he wanted to just portray that. So that's how he got his start. Was actually in, was it 50? I think what year was that he did his first real bad movie that he it was in 1960. It's called The Shadow of Caudillo. He was an evil guy in that one. He was, you know, it's kind of like a sword and sorcery type film, and he was really, really bad in that one.
Okay.
And then from there on, he went on to do many, many films, and then again, he wanted to continue it into the 60s. Then he got his break. In 1963, he got his first break doing The Doctor of Doom, which was the first evil scientist film that he did. Doctor of Doom. It's very, very kind of related to the second film on the Blu-ray over here, The Panther Woman, because he actually plays the same kind of doctor. I think it's even the same name in 1963. He was an evil doctor and a mad scientist, and they had wrestling women in that. Right? I guess he liked the idea of being with wrestling women and doing films with wrestling women. And then he went on to do another horror film that we did called La Loba in '65. He was the doctor in that, if you remember, in 1965. Then from there on, in that same year, he did a string of horror films, and he did the Santo films. He did the Santo versus the Strangler, and his name was the Great Houdini. Houdini was Houdini, not Houdini, but he was the caretaker of this wax museum, and he had all these wax figures, and he dressed just like Vincent Price in the House of Wax.
Wow.
And he got this figure the same way they did a mocking of the House of Wax on that one. And
I
then
just watched that was on TCM.
Was it?
Mm-hmm, just recently.
Okay.
A couple days ago.
And then he went on to do in '66 the sequel. They made a sequel to the Strangler, Santo versus the Strangler. They did Santo versus the Ghost of the Strangler, where he came back. He got killed in the first one, and he came back and he created havoc and against Santo and more wax figures. And he was disfigured throughout the whole film. Of course, he wore a mask and stuff like that, you know. But again, Cañedo, very good actor, very prolific, did so many great. This one here speaks for itself, the Batwoman. I can't need to say more about that, but you can see how hideous he tries to be. Even the laughing that he did, he laughs like a real evil scientist. But if you see him in Santo versus Frankenstein's daughter in 1972, he plays another doctor. He plays another doctor in that one. I guess he liked doing Santo films, you know. Then he was doing Santo films. He was doing luchador films, women wrestling films, and he went all the way up into the 80s. He was doing stuff up until I think 89 or, you know, late 80s, you know. And then he stopped. Then near the time period, you know, you get old, can't do him anymore. Very good actor. That was Roberto Cañedo.
Okay.
All right, we're going to talk about one more actor.
IMDb says he was still making stuff in '93. He made a TV series in '93. So he was a big name. Was he a big name in Mexico? Was he a really well-known actor, or was he just a character actor?
He was a character actor. He didn't really do any American films or nothing like that. He didn't cross over like some of the other ones do, like like a Salazar, Alfredo Salazar. He was also in the Wild Bunch. He was involved with the Wild Bunch. If you see him, Alfredo Salazar, and also Chano Urieta, who's another Mexican director, producer, writer that's involved in. They came in, did westerns here in the early '60s. But no, Cañero just stuck with movies in Mexico, and he really, he did really good. He had over 320 credits to his title, and he retired, and that was it. But he was very good for what he did. But never wanted to be a wrestler, never wanted to wear a mask except for the hideous, evil mask that he wore, and the faces that he turned into. In this one here, we're going to see his face hideous also. But anyway, there's three other ones real quick. I'm not going to go into details with them, and I'm just going to mention their names. David, he was the lottery guy, the blind lottery guy in the film, walking around trying to get wrestlers for the scientists so that they can do the removal of the glands. Cross Alvarado, who was the inspector. And Cross Alvarado was also in the 1954 film, The Silver Masked Man, Santo, the first Santo film, the serial. Alvarado was with Rene Cardona in that film, and they were saying that Alvarado was actually doing the role of the Santo, the evil Santo guy in that film. So Armando Silvestre was the other actor in this film. He was Tony Roca. Okay, he was the one that we talked about that was born in the U.S. He was born in California, San Diego. Okay, but he did. Yeah, he was in a lot of. He was in Wonder Woman. He was in the Wrestling Women versus the mummy, the Aztec mummy. He was in a lot of them. He was in a lot of Santo films too. He did about 5 or 6.
Was he an actual wrestler in real life?
Yes, he was.
Okay. What was his name?
They had him in Mexico. They used the name El Vengador, but he didn't wear a mask. He was not a masked wrestler. No, he was not a masked wrestler. He just with his face. But it's called El Vengador. That was El Vengador, the Avenger or something like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
And he was also in Two Mules for Sister Sarah, believe it or not.
Okay.
Remember, he was born here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So he spoke very perfect English. He was in a lot of TV shows here and a lot of westerns and a lot of movies over here in the States. He did a lot of stuff in the States. Yeah. But I guess they wanted him to go back to Mexico to do the Santo films back in the 60s. So when he did the Batwoman film, this was after the fact because he had done some early Santo films in 65, 63, and he was good in those.
Yeah.
So he was in the Wrestling Women versus the Aztec Mummy. He was in that one. Doctor Doom. He was in Neutron versus Dr. Carante. If you remember the three guys in the Neutron movie, the three guys that were always together drinking.
Yeah.
Well, Armando was one of the guys. His name was Mario. He was in the Neutron film.
Okay.
You remember that?
Wow.
And he was in two of the. He was in. As a matter of fact, he was in the 3 Neutron films, playing the same role. Santo versus the Zombies in 1962. He was the lieutenant in that one. In the Santo Zombie movie in 1962. And then he was in the Neutron film, the first Neutron film, and he did all the Neutron movies, as a matter of fact. I guess this is why he decided to do the Santo films, too. But before that, he did a lot of westerns. He was in a lot of westerns in the late 50s. So he got around. He really got around. So Armando is, he was our guy in the last podcast that we did of Santo versus the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, he was in the Mannix TV series here. He was in Policewoman.
Yeah, he was
in Wonder Woman.
He did Wonder Woman, Mannix.
Yeah.
He was in, remember the FBI TV show, Mary?
Yeah.
With Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.?
Yeah.
He was in a couple episodes of the FBI.
Wow.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah, so he got around. He really got around. But I tell you, the entire cast in this film, were excellent cast members. I mean, they all had excellent credits. These were not new kids on the block. David Silva, 400 plus films. Armando, 300 plus. Cross, they had over 275 films. Cañedo, the same way. Maura Monti is the only one that only had like maybe 40 credits under her belt. But everybody else were megastars in this film. And that's the reason why Salazar got together with Cardona to do it. And they decided to do it in color. They said, well, we got to do this one in color. We can't do it in black and white because they wanted to show off the colors of Batman.
Ah, okay.
And that makes sense.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I got a question. I got a question. Since we're talking about the whole, the Batman outfit and stuff. Okay, so the Batwoman.
Yes.
She wears basically a batkini and the boots and the cape and the cowl, and so all that, well, the cowl and the cape and kind of a painted-on utility belt with her bikini, as it were, but that's very much based on the 1960s Adam West Batman. Then, but when she wrestles, which to me is arguably less dangerous than when she's out fighting crime in her bikini, she wears like a Batman onesie. So why do they have her wearing a Batman onesie when she's wrestling?
Because you're wrestling and you don't want the bikini getting torn off.
I guess. I was just wondering. Okay, so I guess the other thing I was going to ask is, when they did the scenes where there was actual wrestling, is it, how do you say her name? Maura Monti? Is that it?
Maura, yeah.
Maura Monti. So when she was doing, was that actually her in the wrestling ring? Or was that a stunt person?
Yes, it was. She actually took up wrestling. You know, she did take up some wrestling because of the fact that to be in this movie and be in the Panther. If you watch the Panther, the other movie on the Blu-ray, the Panther Woman, she's in that, and she's a wrestler in that one, and you can see, you know, I guess maybe having to know martial arts because she did know karate, you know, and she knew some of the arts a little bit, maybe some judo. So that's what she was able to do all these flips when you saw her training in the gym and she was flipping everybody around. So, but anyway, she did take it up. She took it up, but she was not a full-time wrestler. She did it for a short time just to be able to get knowledge of what, you know, wrestling in a ring was like for this other movie, The Panther Women, and a couple of the other ones that she did. But it was her. It was not a stunt double.
Okay, because I've read in a couple places that it seemed like it wasn't her doing the wrestling, that it was a stunt.
Well, and I got to thinking that myself, but it makes sense that it was her. But I could also see how people might think it wasn't her, because let's face it, you know, she's there, she's all hot in her batkini, you know, fighting crime.
You just like saying batkini.
Yeah, but when she's wrestling, she's like in her Batman pajamas. Yeah. And they're very shapeless.
Yeah.
Would be the best way to put it. I mean,
she had a different looking figure when she was in that.
There could have been anybody, and I could have been wrestling as the Batwoman in that outfit.
Oh, no.
Granted, it would have pooched out in the belly a lot more, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it was...
Okay, let me put this into perspective, okay? How did this movie come about? Basically, okay, Rene Cardona simply, 2 years before this film was done, there was another movie here in the U.S. that was done with a Batwoman, okay, with an actual real a woman in a cape cowl, had everything like Batman, and even had the bat insignia in her chest. She had a bat insignia in her chest, and that was Jerry Warren's creation, called The Wild World of Batwoman in 1966. So now Rene Cardona is on the job. He probably saw this film, and he goes, oh, my God. Gave him the idea. He got on the job, yes. Okay, the same guy that did the Santa Claus and Night of the Bloody Eighth. So now you know that this movie is going to be chock full of completely baffling plot points, lots of surgery scenes in no short amount of lucha libre because of the Wild World of Batwoman by Jerry Warren, which was 1966. Look that one up, and you'll see what I mean.
I'm looking at it right now. Wow.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Look at it.
It's
It's
a mess.
I don't want to watch that one. We don't have to do that one, do we?
No, we don't have to do that one,
Do you see
Mary.
the
I'll give
outfit
you a
on her?
pass.
It's very similar, you know. I mean, everything. She's a Batwoman, you know. So Cardona got the idea from that film to do this one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then the fact that Maura Monti was very attractive. She's an attractive woman, okay?
She was.
She played two different type of alien women, okay? She was in Santo versus the Martian, and she was in the Planet of the Female Invaders. So now they because of being in bikinis and looking at her beautiful body, the shape, her legs. So Cardona says, I gotta have her for Batwoman. So this is how this all came into play, you know.
Okay. I can't believe they get away with copyright laws.
Oh my God, did they really?
Lord.
That's the thing. It was playing in Mexico.
Yeah.
Did it actually have a release in the U.S. before it came, before 30 years later and it came to video or something? I mean, did it? No, I'm serious, because
it did
you
not
had
have a release
lot of
for that purpose.
Yeah, and that's what I figured. Yeah. Because,
Keep in mind,
a lot
Batman,
of the films...
The TV series Batman came out in '66, right? So it was still, Batman ran for 3 seasons. So, I mean, this movie was made at, I think it was the third season of Batman. That's when Cardona did this film. Okay. So, I mean, they didn't want to go fully. If he would have released it here in the U.S., there would have been major. He would have been sued big time by Fox and Greenway Productions, you know.
Yeah. Wow.
So, that's why they kept it. But then they released it later. It took, 40 years later to release it here. And the only way you saw it here was through, Creature Feature, late at night, when they were doing all the Mexican monster stuff.
Yeah.
Because of the creature, the monster in this film. So, I mean, very schlocky, and it was the time that, let's put it out. And they brought it here to the U.S. then.
Yeah.
But now it's after the fact, you ain't going to go after. These guys are all gone. They're all dead, So, but the movie was a success in Mexico, and it's a fan favorite. It's kind of like a cult favorite for a lot of the fans. At the bash are always asking me, hey, you got Batwoman?
Wow. Yeah, I did see online where people were saying it was a horrible movie, but they had to watch it like a bootleg copy on YouTube or something. They said it was horrible.
Oh, yeah,
the subtitles were bad, and it was...
The quality,
the quality was awful.
Remember, this was never dubbed into English. It was always Spanish with the English subtitles.
Okay.
So, I mean...
Who did the dubbing on this do you know?
I get... Kudos, I got to send kudos out to VCI for putting it. MVD, visuals, people behind the dubbing film. I mean, they get good credit for that because they dubbed them almost perfectly synchronized with what they were saying.
Yeah, except they kept saying Pisces wrong.
Pisces.
That was driving me crazy. It's not
it sounded a little bit. It sounded a little bit like something else that sounds like PCs.
Yes.
That starts with an F.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you get a chance to watch the other one on the Blu-ray there, the Panther Woman, do watch it. I mean, we don't have to do that one, but watch it because there's a Santo character in that one called the Angel, and it's Cross Alvarado is the guy that does the role of Santo in the Panther Woman, with the entire cast from this movie: Roberto Cañero, Maura Monti. All of them. They practically, mostly, I would say, like 4 or 5 of the guys from this film, they're in the other film.
Oh, okay.
So he kind of kept them together because they acted well, they did a good job, and they knew their lines, and they were really good. So he didn't want to get new actors and new characters. He kept the same ones, and it turned out really good. It became successful for them.
Okay. I tried watching that one for a while. I put that on after I had the Batwoman on with my neighbors, and I didn't want to subject them to that much. So.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'm still amazed that you made your neighbors watch it.
There was wine involved. We were fine.
Fair.
Well, they watched it because they were able to understand it being English dubbed.
Yeah.
If it would have been Spanish with the, maybe they wouldn't have watched it because you sit there and reading subtitles. You lose track of the movie and what happened there?
And it is a really good copy. It really
is. I hope VCI puts out some more of these Mexican restored. They did the restoration was really nice. Very nice color and everything. Yeah, so the Treasure of Dracula is beautiful. They did a gorgeous job with the Treasure of Dracula, the sexy vampire version. That's the one that's on Blu-ray too now.
Okay, what's BCI stand for?
Name of their company?
It's just BCI.
VCI is the name of the company. If you look it up, VCI, VCI.com, MVD, .com, the visuals. And if you look at the credits here at the end of the film, Mary, of this one, it'll give you the dubbing credits. When you watch or you can take it all the way to the end, and you can get all the credits, and you'll see who did the English dubbing for it.
Okay. Cool.
So there you go. I mean, that's the cast and crew of Batwoman.
Wow.
La Mujer Murciélago. Now, Nick, it's your turn.
It's your turn, Nick.
Don't you hate it when you go to the beach and you're fishing and, you got the kids, you're there, you're fishing, maybe your little boy's got his little spade out and he's digging a hole for a sandcastle, and all of a sudden you wheel in a dead Mexican wrestler.
Yes.
I mean, it just really puts a cramp in the whole day, if you ask me.
Yes.
And that's exactly how this film opens up, because some folks are out there at the I guess in Acapulco, which, by the way, beautiful scenery for this film. They're in Acapulco in the 60s, but they're out swimming and having a good time fishing and whatever, and of course, dead body, just, I imagine if I went to Acapulco, there'd just be, luchadors washing up on the beach every day, and it'd just be awful. But anyway, so the police are very baffled by this series of murders of wrestlers. And as they're doing the autopsy on them, they discover that somebody has done precision surgery on this wrestler's body. And just like the other wrestlers who died, his pineal gland has been extracted. Dun, dun, dun. So, gonna say, I think that the doctor, the mad doctor, really went above and beyond in that he did such a gentle job, apparently, removing the pineal gland and then sewing them back up that, there's no mark on the body when we're looking at it on the coroner's table. It's just, they just kind of say, oh, yeah, it's missing. You can see right here. Oh, okay, sure. We'll take your word for it, Doc. So anyway, the pineal glands of wrestlers are being stolen. And as everyone knows, when you're in Mexico, the luchador is, by far, the master specimen of the human form.
Yes.
And as such, if you are going to create a race of super beings of any kind, you would want to be using as much pineal fluid as you could get from Mexican wrestlers.
Yes.
So, hence, the luchadors are being hunted down ruthlessly and murdered by someone for some reason. And what reason could it be? Well, cut to the Reptilicus, the extremely large
yacht,
which looks almost like a passenger cruise ship. It's so big.
I know.
But it's this big, big, big yacht that it belongs to Dr. Eric Williams. And he and his assistant, Igor, Which I love the fact that he's just straight up an Igor.
Yeah.
There's no. I mean, yeah. Granted, this is a rip-off of Batman, so why not just straight up rip off, Frankenstein's assistant too? So anyway, you got Igor there, and he and the Master are like, "Yes, Igor, we're going to create a race of superhuman fishmen."
Yeah,
they never really explain why he wants to create a race of superhuman fishmen, except that somehow having a race of superhuman fishmen is going to allow him to control the world's oceans and, I guess, achieve his ultimate goal of domination of the Earth through fishmen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say you really need to think about your plans for world domination, because you're really taking the long game if you're looking to do it with fishmen. I mean, it's going to take a lot of fishmen. There's whole areas of the world that just fishmen don't work.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do in the middle of Africa with a fishman in the desert?
Or the Sahara, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's not very practical, but that's okay because, fishmen, it's a good start. And, you could easily take over Hawaii, for example. And,
well, you'd control shipping. You'd control shipping lines. And
because everybody knows that giant ships are easily stopped by a bunch of fishmen swimming along.
But these are luchador fishmen.
They're luchador. That is true. These are luchador-enhanced fishmen.
Yes.
And my God, how powerful.
Yes.
Anyway, so the doctor takes the pineal gland stuff and he puts it in a fish tank with a goldfish and a Ken doll. And
I love the Ken
the
doll.
bubble machine and essentially makes, his first attempt actually appears to make a really good clam chowder out of the fish. So there's no successful bonding of wrestler pineal fluid with goldfish to make superhuman fish man thing.
Yes.
And so he's very upset about this, and he needs to get more luchadors so he can get their pineal fluid. And, meanwhile, the detectives, and what we got, is it Hector Godoy or Godoy? It was Inspector Croy Alvarado, or he was one of the inspectors.
Rose Alvarado.
Yeah. He was the inspector, and then you had
Rose Alvarado. Yeah, he was.
And what was okay? What you had these two guys though, and one of them was Tony Roca as Armando Silvestri, and
then you had Mario was Hector Godoy. Mario.
Thank you. I was trying to figure.
He was a detective with the hots for the Batwoman.
Yeah, well, didn't everybody have the hots for the Batwoman?
Well,
the Fishman had the hots for the Batwoman. In a way, Dr. Williams had the hots for the Batwoman.
Yeah.
I mean, he really obsessed with her, but we'll get to that later.
Yes.
But then of course, you had Tony Roca and Mario Robles as the two kind of detective guys that are on the case, but at the same time, the police decide that the best thing to do is to bring in the Batwoman. And, I got to read a quote from the film, and this is straight off of IMDb, so the quote may be a little bit off from the dubbed dialogue. But, it's Mario Robles, and he's talking about the Batwoman. And he says, "It is hard to describe her with words. She is a wonderful woman, immensely rich, who lives in the capital city." Because, okay, I'm going to pause here. Doesn't everyone refer to the capital of their country as the capital city? So, who lives in the capital city, and she has put her fortune to the service of justice, fighting untiringly against evil, equipped with little common qualities. In a short time, she managed to dominate all sports, and under a mask and the nickname of the Batwoman, she became an extraordinary fighter. And of course, she stays hidden as the Batwoman when she's fighting crime, because they say, then all the bad guys would just team up and kill her if they knew who she was in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got to, kind of keep her secret identity going.
Yeah.
But, as being this, and literally she is the female version of Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
She's the millionaire. He was the millionaire playboy who was a philanthropist and fought crime in his Batman outfit. And she's the millionaire, socialite who fights crime in her Batkini.
Yes.
And I am a little disappointed, by the way. It looked like the utility belt was just sort of painted on there. So they really never used any. She didn't have a lot of bat gadgets. And I kind of miss the bat gadgets, I would have loved for her to pull out the bat shark repellent and just spray the fish man right in the face with it.
She did.
Anyway,
she did make a gun out of her compact.
Well, that's true. She made a gun out of her compact, and
she had like a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, and she managed to have just dry on. That was a superpower, by the way. Because every time she'd get out of the water, she'd be dried off by the next scene. I mean, that is a superpower. Because if I step in a puddle, my feet are wet all day.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is, you know. But anyway, so the police decide that they're going to bring her in because, A, they have the hots for her, and this is an opportunity to bring her in and work with her while she's running around in her bikini. But B, they bring her in because the victims are all luchadores, and it would not be suspicious for a female luchador. Would that be a luchadoress?
Luchadores would be various, female and male.
What would it be?
Well, anyway, it wouldn't be out of sorts for a female wrestler to be at the wrestling gym, hanging out and doing wrestling type things while investigating the murders. Whereas if the police were just there watching, then obviously the killer would never show up and they would never be able to catch them. So in comes the Batwoman. And at the same time, we've still got old Dr. Eric Williams and his buddy Igor, and they need another luchador. So they call their guy Jose the Lottery Seller. And I guess this was a thing. He would just be he was a blind guy, supposedly, and he'd go walking around in the gym, and he'd be selling the lucky numbers. And while he was selling the lucky numbers, he was also listening in to see what wrestlers were going to be doing what and where. And as an example, he discovers, I believe it was the Swedish wrestler, decides that he's going to go out on his boat the next day and go fishing. Well, that wasn't too smart, was it, guys? Because, of course, the, Dr. Eric, he sends his henchman, not Igor, but his other henchmen, the guys in the scuba suits, to capture the Swedish wrestler. And, okay, I know there were 4 of these guys, and they sort of surprised him, but I really expected a luchador, the Swedish wrestler guy, to put up a bit more of a fight.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping for a big fight scene on the boat, and pretty much they just cut away and knocked him out and took off. And so next thing you know, he's on the doctor's table, and the doctor's like, "This time I've got it, Igor. We will make the perfect fish man, and then we will dominate the Mrs. Paul's fish stick market forever," or whatever, his world domination goal was. But
when did she parachute in?
What? Who? Huh?
When did she parachute in? That was at the very beginning of the movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was at the beginning of the movie, because that was okay. We're going to roll this back a little bit. When the guy was doing his spiel about how great Batwoman was, we cut to all these different scenes.
Yeah.
And there's things like, here's Batwoman doing the free diving where she's swimming without a scuba tank. And here's Batwoman in the Old West for some reason.
Yeah.
And she's having a shootout with a gun.
On a horse, yeah.
And here's Batwoman doing this, that, and the other. And so it was proving that she was vastly talented.
Yes.
But yeah.
I was just thinking it would be really funny to be up at Lake Murray, like eating dinner somewhere and paying somebody to parachute out of a helicopter in the Batwoman outfit. I think that would be great.
Especially if it was somebody who looked like me.
Well, yeah.
That would make it even funnier.
Wow.
But yeah, Mary, we need to pause the podcast for a minute. You have some sort of weird complex about doing extremely elaborate practical jokes that would be exceedingly expensive and have a very small payoff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, I think it'd be great if we made somebody parachute out of a helicopter. You specifically made it parachuting out of a helicopter, which is a lot harder than parachuting out of an airplane.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
But okay, so they're going to parachute out of a helicopter dressed as the Batwoman. Just so your friends will go, what the hell's in this beer? And at the same time, you're going to. I don't know where you're going to procure all of the brains that you're going to put in an elaborate vase just to present to me to freak me out, because now you've discovered that brains and vase is kind of something I don't like.
I live in the South. You can get brains.
Well, I can get brains, Mary. I mean, do you want sheep brains, cow brains, whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, if you say human brains, we got to talk, though.
Yeah.
That
would be a little more difficult.
Sorry. We've gone off on a tangent with Mary's love for elaborate practical jokes that I've only recently discovered. But anyway, so the doctor is finally successful. Because this time, I don't know, he put some paprika in the water with the pineal fluid and the Ken doll and the goldfish, and so he gets a little itty bitty fish man, and he's like, "My little itty bitty fish man is not good enough. Igor, send him outside." So they put like a little chip in the fish man's brain at the base of his brain, and they send him outside, and they, I guess, turn on the microwave oven on the ship. And pointed at the ocean and cause all this radiation to go in. And apparently, rather than giving the fish man cancer and killing him, the radiation makes him grow to be human size. So that's kind of awesome. So they got the full-size human fish man who does look a lot like, he's kind of a cross between a Sleestack from Land of the Lost and the Gill Man from,
No, he's a crossover between that one, the Sleestack from Land of the Lost, and the Horror of Party Beach. The Horror of Party Beach was the movie.
Okay, that would be, that's a good call, except he didn't have a bunch of hot dogs in his mouth.
You're right.
I remember, the Horror of Party Beach monster was terrifying because it had a mouthful of hot dogs.
Oh,
and, have you ever seen the Horror of Party Beach, Mary?
Probably.
Okay, you'd remember it because the monster has a mouthful of hot dogs.
Okay, I guess I haven't then.
Okay, so you need to just Google that one right now and see the monster from the Horror of Party Beach.
Okay.
But anyway, while Mary's Googling that, we'll carry on.
Okay.
So, Dr. Williams has his fish man, and he's very excited. But at the same time, the Batwoman has become suspicious because they've been looking for people that might have the skill to remove pineal glands. And it just so happens that about the time all the murders showed up, this giant yacht called the Reptilicus pulled into the Acapulco harbor and started staying there. And the guy who owns it is a famous brain neurosurgeon who doesn't practice neurosurgery anymore because he likes to collect fish. And by the way, at that point, you're too rich. Okay? I'm just going to say, when you're the famous neurosurgeon who gives it up to collect fish, you're too rich. Go get a job. Okay? Just stop bugging me. But anyhow, so, this is when the Batwoman, and I guess it was Armando, they go scuba diving in to see what they can find out on the boat, and there's a big fight when they get to the lab and the Batwoman splashes some liquid on the doctor, and it's actually acid, and so she disfigures the doctor. So like the right side of his face is horribly burned and disfigured. And at this point, by the way, for the record, it did not touch his pencil-y little mustache, so that was fine. But the rest of his face was just, the side of his face was just horribly burned. Yeah. Oh, and Mary, every picture of that actor, Roberto Canedo, on IMDb has him with the mustache.
I know.
So, not much you can do about that.
Oh,
but
can
anyway.
we do Horror Party Beach?
You want to do the Horror Party Beach?
Yeah. That's a horrible monster.
Are we going to do it right now?
Well, no. You told me to look it up, so I looked it up.
Okay. So, yes, we can do the Horror Party Beach, Mary. That's fine.
Okay.
But, okay, good Lord. Okay, so boat, luchador, burned acid face.
Yes.
Batwoman escapes.
Yes.
But even though they know all this stuff is going on, they still don't seem to have enough proof to do anything. And that is really annoying. So, but now Dr. Eric Williams is obsessed with the Batwoman, and what he wants to do is diabolical. He wants to capture the Batwoman and make a fish woman out of her, so that then she and the fish man named Pisces, not Pisces or Pisces or whatever they want to call him, the fish man Pisces could then have a mate. So he's really got it in for the Batwoman because she disfigured him. And so his idea is that he has, he slips this radio transmitter onto her cape, or he has the Jose the lottery seller, I think, slipped this little radio transmitter onto her cape while she's wrestling. And he sends the fish man. He's like, aha, the fish man will home in on this with this implant that I use to control him. And he will home in on that, and he will get me the Batwoman. And what a brilliant plan. So he sends him to get the Batwoman. Okay, I'm going to take a second here. Because the Batwoman, she's getting ready for bed, and for some reason Armando's come over to hang out at the house, I guess to keep an eye on her, because she's the incredible Batwoman, the indestructible, invincible crusader for justice, but she needs a dude to sleep in the living room when she's on a case, because something bad might happen. But anyway, so she's in her bedroom, and she discovers the transmitter. And you know what she does? Nothing! She, puts it on the bedside table and goes to sleep. What the hell, Batwoman? And
doesn't she put it on her little nightie or something?
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, I thought she put it on her nightstand, but maybe she put it on her nightie. Whatever the case, she did not do what you're supposed to do with an evil genius's radio transmitter that you discover attached to your cloak, which is use it to track him back down, or at least break it so that whatever diabolical plan he's hatched can't come to fruition. But kind of does come to fruition as the fish man slowly lumbers his way out of the ocean, lumbers his way across her palatial estate, lumbers his way by the swimming pool, lumbers into the house right by Armando, great job guarding her, lumbers his way into the bedroom and overcomes her, escapes. I think he smacks Armando, and Armando gets up and chases him, and he manages to save her right as the fish man is getting ready to take her into the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, he saves her, the fish man leaves, and, okay, at this point, she's like, wow, maybe that was a bad idea, putting that radio transmitter on me. You think? So, anyway.
Well, she just thought it was a location thing, that they were just trying to track her. She didn't realize that they were going to send the evil creature after her.
And I understand that, but at the same time, she's the Batwoman with a secret identity. Do you want somebody tracking her back to your palatial mansion?
And if you,
Here's a coincidence. There's a rich, beautiful young woman that lives here, and the Batwoman is a beautiful young woman who wears a mask. No way these two things could be related at all.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, so, and Dr. Robert Williams is getting really frustrated because he wants to split, because he needs to get Batwoman so he can make his army of fishmen with his fish lady, made from the pineal gland of the Batwoman. Mm-hmm. But he's not having much luck, so they finally, he finally gets her on the boat, and okay. It's the Fishman is just so Fishman-y, and ultimately, she's been kidnapped and gets on the boat, he kidnaps. Is it Armando or Hector? He kidnaps. I can't remember.
It's Mario Robles.
So it's Hector. So he kidnaps Hector. Oh, that's yeah, and he kidnaps actually both of them, doesn't he?
Well,
that's right. And he does it with the old, hey, the car's broken down on the side of the road, except it's a motorcycle.
Right. Yeah.
And so the guys stop to help, and immediately they're busted. So all this is telling us, folks, is that generally speaking, it's a bad idea to help anybody who's hurt on the side of the road. So according to B Movies, just drive on, kids, because obviously it will be a trap so that you can be taken hostage by an evil mad scientist who wants to make your girlfriend into a fish woman.
Yeah.
So just do it.
Makes sense.
So anyway, she decides to actually go and try and rescue the guys, which is what, Dr. Williams wants. And there's a big fight. And in the end, of course, the Fishman is turned against his creator. And, of course, during the fight, somebody spills something, and the next thing you know, the whole damn boat's blowing up. Mm-hmm. And so they have to jump off the boat. They get away. A tiny model of a boat explodes in a bathtub somewhere unrelated. And we cut to the end of the film, which Mary has already completely ruined, which is where the Batwoman, a.k.a. Gloria, the rich lady, is like, oh, there's a mouse. You must protect me. Ah! And Armando and Hector just sit there and go, oh, women.
Yeah.
The end. Okay, the Batwoman. All I want to know is why there haven't been more movies like the Batwoman versus the World Crime League.
I really thought there would be. I thought this was like the beginning of a series or something.
Or maybe the
look at the bright side of this. So I mean, this particular movie, they only left it at one because I guess between Cardona and Salazar, they said, I think one is enough. I mean, they didn't want to have, they figured where else can they take it to? Because I mean, the Panther Woman kind of speaks for itself. In the Panther Women, you got Wolf Woman. There's werewolves. Dick, you would like that one.
Yeah.
There's Wolf Woman and the Panther Woman. Oh yeah, And they take it. They go to the extremes of having a Santo character in there. He looks like Santo. He has a cape and everything, and he fights these werewolf women in the film. The luchador women turned werewolves in the Panther Women. They call them Panther Women, but they're actually a secret society of werewolf women. So you might want to watch that one. But anyway, this film right here, though, man. I mean, with all the stuff, the shenanigans that are going on, and have the evil Dr. Williams look like again. Here's another plagiarizing bit where they took off of Bob Kane must be turning in his grave. Okay, the creator of Batman. Alrighty, because Dr. Williams, when she spilled the acid on his face, turned him in what? She turned him into Two-Face. Remember Two-Face? Two-Face is the villain in the Batman.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty. Yeah, so, she did kind of turn him into Two-Face, except he didn't have split personality like Two-Face did. But still, that's a good point.
Right. And then you got all these goons. The bad guys driving around, trying to go and get, after them, chasing everybody, wearing Lone Ranger mask.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Weird.
The heck? Zorro mask on, the Lone Ranger. Oh, we don't want to be identified. I mean, we're Dr. Williams' henchmen. We can't. We got to be protected. We got to wear a mask too. If Batwoman can wear one, we can wear one. So hi-yo silver away in their cars.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot of. I will say that was a lot of fun.
It was
that film.
It really was.
You know, I mean, was it Academy Award winning material? Absolutely not. And I do think that probably the biggest reason that they didn't, do more films is because they probably thought if we do any more films, they're going to sue us.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We can
well,
get
maybe
away
that's
with
why they
this
just
one,
left
but
it
if
up
we do
to
any
one.
more, we're going to
Because,
get sued.
They all died. The boat, the explosion, the Gilman's gone, the scientist's gone, Igor's gone, the henchmen are gone. So now it will be a whole new adventure for Batwoman. But then, they said, nah, let's just leave it right there. So they just left. That was it.
I wanted to see a sequel with her getting together with the detective and the FBI agent.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to see
I
the
want to
relationship
see a sequel
grow.
where she's actually not scared of a mouse.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah. Did we ever do the Leech Woman?
The Leech Women?
Yeah. Woman.
That was, I believe that was a
Corman.
So. Or it was Attack of the Leeches or something.
No,
it wasn't the Leech
the
Women.
Leech Woman.
Yeah.
Because they used a pineal gland in that.
We haven't done.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't done that one.
Okay.
Well,
they
Mary, there's so many uses for the pineal gland. I mean, really, when you get down to it, it is the Swiss Army knife of glands.
Yes.
And I'm very excited that I still have my pineal gland. I haven't been turned into a fish man. It does seem like he wasted a lot of material when you think about it. Maybe he should have been trying to take the fish and put that into the wrestler. And then you could have cut out the whole having to use the microwave on the ocean to make him grow.
Yeah.
Because if he made the big wrestler into a fish man.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I know. It would have been a lot easier.
But then again, what do I know? I'm not a mad scientist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
I thought that was your secret identity.
Yeah, and I didn't spend 4 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Brown. That's Dr. Brown.
Dr. Brown.
No, I'm just.
Overall, I thought that the movie was pretty good. I mean,
oh yeah,
for being a production put together by two prolific directors and writer and producers, to put and getting a cast together. The cast, they've been repeated. If you look at Night of the Bloody Apes, Roberto Cañero, Dr. Williams, he also was a crazy doctor in that one. And as a matter of fact, Batwoman is in that one too. The Night of the Bloody Apes, you look at that, and she appears in that film. She doesn't. The whole movie's not about her, but she's in the movie. Again, in that particular one, with Cañero as the mad scientist, and they create this horrible beast that goes after women for sex and all this other stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. If you've never seen Night of the Bloody Apes, it's a little gory, but Batwoman is in that one, too. She doesn't get casted as Batwoman, but she's in it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, in the history of all these films, the fun thing about it is watching all these twisted plots and how they get the monsters, how they get the villains, how they get the heroes, how they do everything in general. It's kind of fun when you're putting it together. It's like, you got I'll give you an example, a Santo film. Okay, Santo is not wearing his traditional cape suit and his tights, but he's got jeans and he's got a how do you call it? One of these Western shirts on, and he's riding around in the old West in the white horse, and he's chasing lepers, a band of lepers. You know what I'm saying? In the Riders of Terror, the Riders of Terror are a bunch of lepers that are terrorizing a town, and Armando Silvestre, he's in that one, and he's like the sheriff. And we got to get Santo in the case. So you see, now you got a western with a horror theme of lepers, and then you got a masked luchador in the film. So I mean, it's like a twisted combination all around, man. I love these films. What can I say?
Mm-hmm. I loved it.
All I can think of right now is I'm just busy wrapping my head around a roving band of lepers terrorizing a town. I mean, wow, that's sort of like the plot of The Fog if they were ghosts.
They're crazy. That's the reason why they became cult favorites in the in the early mid-60s, early 60s when they were doing all the creature feature and chiller theater thing, and late at night on the weekends they would show all these cave movies and all these Mexican horror films, because it was trending a whole new thing. And for us to see it back then, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, versus seeing it today, it's even, they gain cult status somewhat because they're not really publicized big time here in the States. A lot of these movies have never hardly been seen.
Yeah.
And, you get a lot of the fans that love these Mexican horror films, and they want to know more about them, and stuff like that. That's the reason why at the Bash, Ron always has this Mexican taco night on Friday, and, he introduced these films back when. I think it was the third Bash he was doing. He started bringing Mexican monsters into the Bash.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
they're good.
They,
yeah, they are.
They are. They don't suck.
So everybody get online and order the movie from Juan, because it's a really good Blu-ray.
Yeah, and you'll get 2 movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Not 1 movie, 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Count it. Not 1, 2. two hits for the price of 1. So get your copy now.
2 for the price of 1.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you should have already bought your copy and watched it before we got to this point in the podcast, because we just spoiled the hell out of the film for you. But you're welcome.
But it's still worth watching, even if you know.
Anyway, yeah. So I guess that's about that for the Batwoman.
Yeah.
Mary, do we have any feedback we want to go through?
Yes, we do. I'm going to start out by reading an email from part of an email from Patrick Kelly. It says, I didn't plan on watching Raiders again in the near future. The Indiana Jones series is one of a handful that my wife constantly rewatches. But you and Nick and Eric Brooks were so darn entertaining at the beginning of your podcast, I pulled out my Indy Blu-ray box set and will soon be jumping into the movie for the umpteenth yet still delightful time. And he says, speaking of Twisted Nerve, because that's the movie we gave away, there's a link to the scene where Nurse Daryl Hannah whistles the Twisted Nerve theme in Kill Bill 1. This scene's actually how I found out about the Twisted Nerve movie. The Kill Bill subtitles thoughtfully let me know that the tune Hannah was whistling, and it wasn't long before I purchased the 1968 British serial killer movie. I figured if Tarantino paid homage to it, it was worth watching. So Nick's going to put a link up. It's a YouTube link to the scene in Kill Bill 1 where Daryl Hannah is whistling the Twisted Nerve theme.
Okay.
And it's really good. And he says, here's another trivia note. Twisted Nerve was written, produced, and directed by twin brothers Roy and John Bolting. Roy Bolting married the star of the film, Haley Mills, in 1971, despite the 33-year difference in their ages. They were divorced in 1977. Well, that lasted 6 years. Okay. Take all the care in the world, Mary. And thank you, Patrick, and thank you for all you do for us.
Yes, thank you. Yes. And cool, and I will post that link.
Yeah, I went and listened to it because I couldn't remember that theme. But the minute I heard it whistling, like for about 2 seconds, I remembered it, and it was burned in my brain, and it kept, it was stuck there for about a day. But it's a good theme song. Okay, here I would like to insert the very first voicemail, and it's from Steve Turek from Diecast Movie Podcast. With his rendition of Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary, and Pretty Nicks all in a row. Or as Nick likes to say, Very Pretty Nicks all in a row.
That you're damn right.
So here we go.
Hi, Mary. This is Steve Turk calling you from Diecast Movie Podcast. And wanted to say I've been enjoying, as always, your B-Movie Cast. And I know that you have an upcoming episode with Raiders of the Lost Ark with Nick and Eric Brooks, I believe, which I'm looking forward to. I was thinking about the other day, Nick sent me a photo of himself for something he did for our podcast, and where he looks kind of pretty, and how you keep wanting to do that Xanadu episode. So I decided to combine something together with the nursery rhyme, Mary, Mary, quite contrary, and put those things together, and this is what I got. Mary, Mary, quite contrary, when will you do Xanadu? With its roller skating and singing, and pretty nicks all in a row, and pretty nicks all in a row. Mary, Mary, quite contrary, when will you do Xanadu? With its disco balls and musical numbers, and pretty nicks all in a row, and pretty nicks all in a row. And Mary, I've include with this email a picture of Nick that he sent me, so you can get the idea why I came up with the pretty Nick. And I'll leave it up to you guys if you want to share with your audience or not, because it could scar people when they see Nick looking the way he does. As always, enjoy your podcast. Hope everybody's doing fine, and listen to you soon. Bye.
Okay, and we're back. Let's see. This next email.
By the way, Mary, going to pause you.
Yes.
You know that picture you posted on Facebook of me with the blonde hair and the lipstick? I just want to say that was from when I was on the Diecast Podcast Special Edition look at it, a Mad, 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 Mad World. And I was one of many contributors, and he asked us to each essentially Photoshop ourselves into a photo from the poster. And so that was the one that I got saddled with. And for the record, when you see the lipstick in that picture, that is not Photoshop. That is me wearing lipstick. So enjoy.
Ew.
Ew. Now Mary's grossed out by it. Yes. You got it. So
it's bad enough that photo is burned in my brain, but now that I know it's real lipstick, it's like, ew.
Yep. So there you go. So you were saying about feedback, the next bit of feedback,
yes.
Mary.
This next one's from Christopher Page. He says, why, that's my Mitchell from 1975. Joe Don Baker and his sloppily drunken worst. We just covered that film on the Time Shifters podcast in our MST3K's Unriffed series. We were looking at the films covered by Mystery Science Theater 3000 and seeing if they may have been unfairly maligned by their commentary. Spoilers, but Mitchell needs riffing. This is some fun 1970s detective trope feelings about it, a.k.a. Rockford Files, but it falls far, far, far from the mark. The television-friendly edit that you are provided by the MST episode also spares the viewer from the overly long and very unsexy love scene between Baker and Linda Evans, hoping she got hazard pay. Take care, all, thing. Christopher.
And by the way, my idea to put that as our contest picture was because I'd listened to Christopher's podcast about Mitchell. And I was like, oh, yeah, that'd be a good one for the contest.
No. Well, thank you, Christopher. Okay, next one is from Scott Wirtz. He says, from one of my favorite MST3K episodes, Mitchell, 1975. So if he liked that episode, he might want to see the whole film with the love scene and everything in it.
Yeah.
My
Mitchell.
Yum.
People who've seen the film will appreciate that particular line I just gave out, by the way.
Okay, that's why Christopher had it like that.
Yeah, there's a song, and I can't remember. It was one of the fairly prolific country music singers at the time did the Mitchell theme song.
Oh.
And part of it was my Mitchell. And then it talks about all of his amazing attributes as an unlikable police detective. But carry on.
Okay,
Sorry.
Well, that makes sense. Okay, gonna have our second voicemail here. It's from Stan the Man from the Creepy Hills north of Doylestown.
All right.
Thanks, Stan, and we always enjoy hearing from you. So here it is.
Hi, Mary and the B-Movie Cast family. This is Stan here from the Creepy Hills north of Doylestown, checking in on episode 472, Grand Theft Auto. What a great episode. Your guests are getting better and better with every episode. Beverly Gray gave some great insights on Roger Corman and the movie, and Ron Howard and his brother Clint and his father Rance. Fantastic. One thing that was touched on was how Happy Days, the TV show, came from an episode of Love American Style called Love in the Happy Days. That is a great trivia question, because when you ask most people where Happy Days came from, they think it came from the movie American Graffiti, which it did not. I came from a town called Hatboro, which is like 15 minutes from Doylestown, and it is used to be a cruising town back in the day, back in the 60s and 70s, when people were driving Barracudas and Chevy Camaros and all that kind of stuff. It was one of the top cruising towns in America at that time, until the local authorities decided it became too much and shut it down. But just a little interesting aside. I would have to say that along with Kurt Russell, Ron Howard is probably the most successful child star that became a grown-up star that I've ever seen, because, you know, you watch shows from the 60s and the 70s, and both of them, you see them everywhere, whether it's a TV show, Daniel Boone, or Land of the Giants, or anything in between. And I think the key for them was that they worked all through their lives, and that made a big difference. And it just, you know, especially with Ron Howard, when he got into directing, it just served him well. Anyway, this is Stan from the Creepy Hills north of Doylestown signing off, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, back again.
Yeah. Thanks, Stan. Much appreciated.
Really.
Yeah,
like I said,
great.
Always enjoy hearing from you. This next one is from Bill Mize. It says, that looks to be Joe Don Baker as the eponymous Mitchell from 1975. If it's not, it should be. Have a great Thursday. He goes on to say, I gladly accept any and all free koozies or T-shirts. Have a great weekend and grill something. Thanks, Bill.
Get those koozies out there.
Man.
Yes, koozies.
Koozies.
You must order more koozies, Mary.
Yes,
I plan to use koozies as world domination.
I will then, very soon.
Much like the fishmen, but I use the koozies. You can use the koozies in the desert. See? Fishmen and koozies. It's the combination we have been looking for. Igor, get the fishmen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord, we just lost him. Okay, this next one is from Marlo Brown. It says, hi, Mary, Nick, Juan, and all. The answer is Mitchell from 1975 with the tagline, a cop with a gun, a drink, and no friends. It has to be good. Thank you all, and especially Patrick Kelly. I very much enjoyed Cowboys and Aliens. I'm looking forward to Twisted Nerve. When you called out my name, I was already whistling that theme. It's unforgettable. Besides, I've been rewatching Tarantino films lately. It was a great episode with Eric, discussing one of my all-time favorites, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'd never heard about the Ralph McQuarrie connection. I met him when he was having a show of his art at a gallery in San Francisco in the late 70s. I was in high school, and Dad was a fan of Mr. McQuarrie's art and took us to the city for a showing and to meet the artist. He was very gracious and treated teenage Marlowe like an adult, even when I asked about the Star Wars art. I think I did say this was by Marlo Brown, didn't I? Okay.
You did.
Okay. I think it was Eric that called into question the confrontation in Raiders where Indy has a primitive RPG. I went and looked, and it looks to me like a Faust Patron Klein, a small fist cartridge, a forerunner of the more famous Panzerfaust tank fist. The Faust Patron wasn't delivered until the middle of 1943, so it is an anachronism. Wow. Okay, the sub is forgivable. The U-boat from Das Boot was a type V11C, but the similar type V11A was in service by 1935. The idea of them making a transit at periscope depth isn't believable, though. A type a type 7, I guess.
Just say submarine, Mary.
Yeah. The second submarine would have had to crawl along at about 4 to 5 knots to make it any kind of distance on batteries, and a periscope makes a wake that's visible, yet severely limits situational awareness. It wasn't open war yet, but so they likely would have run on the surface with their diesels at around 15 knots, which with the full watch team topsides, there'd be nowhere for Indy to hide. Okay.
And that's fair.
Yeah, because we were wondering why they didn't just dive and go along, but it would have been too slow. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The submarines use their underwater moving to be stealthy. When they need to get somewhere fast, at least back then, they would surface and go chugging along just like a boat.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, but they still would have. They would have had a whole watch crew up there, so he couldn't.
Yeah, it would have been like
worked.
being on a boat then.
Yeah.
I mean, if you notice, there's actually a deck gun on that submarine.
Okay.
You know, that's a gun that somebody had to get behind and, like, fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they have
but
to
anyway,
take that gun off and, like, stow it inside when they go underwater?
I suppose you could, but what you generally do is they just plug it and go on. Because it was designed to be up on the deck. They'd have to unplug the end of it. And I assume there's waterproof casing on the rest of it that they'd have to open up to load it and stuff. But yeah,
okay,
it's just easier. But bear in mind, this isn't the 1940s submarine podcast. Okay. So moving on.
I'll get on with the email. I didn't know why Harrison Ford changed the scene with the swordsman, but it makes a lot of sense. Sword dude goofed by showing off when he should have charged. Harrison Ford played the scene perfectly. Indy had nothing to prove, and playing with somebody with a sword was unnecessary and a good way to get killed. And that was a perfect scene. I just love that scene.
Yeah, that is probably the most iconic scene from that film.
Yeah. Thanks for another great episode. You're on a roll. One clarification. I knew some SEALs when I was in OCS with a few, but I joined the surface fleet like my father did. I got to see a lot of the West Pacific and spent a tour on the guided missile frigate USS Rents.
Ooh.
That kind of makes that okay. That's why he was picking these things out. He understands.
Well, yeah.
See, for us landlubbers, that stuff went just right over my head. Yeah. But thanks.
Did you just call us landlubbers?
Landlubber.
Landlubber, even better. So, are we now a jaunty pirate podcast?
Ho ho ho! And I need a bottle of rum right now.
Hey, Mary.
Yes.
What's a pirate's favorite letter?
Arg.
R. They like R, but you know what? They really loves the sea.
Oh.
Sorry.
No,
okay, moving on.
You are going to get a bottle of brains. Okay, Marla goes on to say, thanks again, I'd better run. I think we've got a chupacabra trying to get in through the cat door.
Definitely.
Bye, Mary. And this is from Marlo from Funfield, Texas. Bye, Marlo. Gotta keep those chupacabras and yeah, gotta watch out for those.
You do.
Okay, next one's from Nicholas Stumpf. It says, the contest answer is Mitchell from 1975, one of my all-time favorites. Wow.
Hey.
It got the MST3K treatment and is one of the best episodes. I love the Indiana Jones cast and can't wait for the next episode. Thanks for all you do, Nick.
All right.
And he ends
Thank
it
you,
with,
sir.
Knowledge speaks, but wisdom listens. It's a quote from Jimi Hendrix.
Oh.
Yeah, and then he goes on to say that I should watch Mitchell. It's the funniest, unintentionally detective movie from the 70s that you can imagine.
I think we should do Mitchell at some point, Mary. It is, if for no other reason than so I have an excuse to put, I think it was Hoyt Axton maybe did the song, and I can put the Ma Mitchell song at the end of the podcast,
okay.
and I'll just be so happy.
Okay. That makes sense. And we have to make you happy, so, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Put that one on the list, then. And I think here we will listen to the last voicemail, last but not least. And this is from Bill Mize at BillCreatesPodcast.com, home of the award-winning Bill Watches Movies, the weekly Bill Watches Serials, and the upcoming Monsters by the Minute podcasts. Ooh. So take it away, Bill.
Hello, my Mary. Hello, my Nick. Yes, it's once again Bill Mize over at the Bill Watches Movies podcast, and I am once again calling in to give you some feedback on your show. Now, to be fair, y'all asked for it, so you only have yourselves to blame. I have to say that your Predator episode made me very, very happy. It's a great franchise that really is due a renaissance, and I would love to see the return of what I'm calling the Weyland-Yutani cinematic universe, which brought the Predator and the Alien franchises together in AVP, which, in my humble or not so humble opinion, was not bad at all. Secret Aztec pyramids in Antarctica? Sign me up. But unfortunately, they strangled that newborn franchise in the crib with AVP Requiem. The less said about that movie, the better. Speaking of aliens and predators, as a longtime libertarian, I would certainly entertain a Predator/Alien 2024 ticket, because no one since Ron Paul has been able to capture the imagination of the electorate. Killing the citizens is definitely against the non-aggression principle, but I would think that having the ability to turn invisible, along with having acid for blood, would certainly give our nation the edge in any peace negotiations. You heard it here first, so get a head start on worshiping your alien overlords now. I hope that this show will encourage y'all to take a look at Predator 2 or even Predators, which stars Oscar winner Adrian Brody, which I thought was a very good addition to the mythology. I have yet to see The Predator by Shane Black, because rumor has it that they've tried to make it a comedy? Yeah, I don't know about that. I truly hope that it isn't true. Well, that's it for this month. Again, thank you both as always for your kindness and support. I wish you both the best. I'll listen to you and hopefully see you soon. #Monster Bash 2022. Y'all take care.
Okay. Back again. One last email. And
awesome voicemail.
We're done.
Yep,
I know.
As always.
His voice is just so soothing.
It is. He's got the he's got the mellow voice.
Yeah. Soothing.
Yes.
It's like a lozenge for your ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mr. Rogers. Mr.
Mize.
Okay.
Hello, kids. Welcome to my neighborhood. Wow, that sounded creepy. Actually, that sounded sounded like I ought to be in a van with shag carpet or something. I don't know. We're gonna move on here.
Yeah, we are. I'm gonna get my bottle of rum and move on from that. Okay. Arg.
'Tis the sea.
Okay, this last one's from Brian Rosenquist. It says, "Hi, Mary. I wanted to suggest a fun, weird movie for you all to watch and review on the show. It's truly one of the strangest movies ever made. I like to call it jaw-droppingly entertaining." It was directed by Ron Ormond, who also directed Mesa of Lost Women, which you reviewed on the show years and years ago. The movie is called If Footmen Tire, What Will Horses Do? It's a little hard to explain. Really, you just have to check it out. It's the first in a series of extremely violent Christian exploitation films directed by Ron Ormond. Ron Ormond and his family survived a plane crash in 1967 and became born-again Christians. They decided to start making Christian films, which is what Ron Ormond devoted himself for the rest of his life. But he'd been making exploitation films for the previous 20 years. Films like Untamed Mistress, Please Don't Touch Me, Girl from Tobacco Row, and The Monster and the Stripper. After 20 years of exploitation movies, Ron Ormond had the distinct exploitation aesthetic, which did not change when he began making Christian movies. Ironically, this exploitation aesthetic played a huge part in the success of the films. His follow-up to Footmen was called The Burning Hell. It played in churches all over the world and made millions of dollars in film print rentals. Footmen is free to watch on filmmaker Nicholas Winding Refn's website, and Nick's going to post the website. And
I am.
And as is The Burning Hell, the second movie, and we'll post that one too. So you guys can go online and watch these movies. For years, the only way to watch these movies was to track down bootleg VHS copies. They only played in churches and were never commercially available. In fact, they used to screen these movies in Sunday school classrooms all through the Bible Belt. Wow. Traumatized thousands of children. Wow. I've actually been working on a documentary about these films for several years. A couple years ago, I arranged a deal for Nicholas Winding Refn to get the negatives and the rights to 3 of the films. Nick had them scanned and restored, and they look beautiful. When you have some time, check out If Footmen Tire You, What Will Horses Do? I think I can't even say the name of the thing.
Now, you're having a hard time with it, Mary, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, if footmen tire you, what will horses do? Okay. I think you'll really get a kick out of it. It's only an hour long. I'd love to hear you all review it on the show sometime. Best regards, Brian Rosenquist. So thank you, Brian.
Yes, thank you, Brian.
Yeah, we'll get to traumatize all our listeners.
Yeah, thank you.
Trauma is so sweet.
Trauma. Yes. So that's it.
All right.
We're done.
That's it?
That's it.
Well,
woo-hoo.
I tell you what, honk my hooters, and we're done with this one. Okay. Well, it's a good cast.
Yes.
I'm glad we did this film.
Great cast.
Yeah.
Great having you on again, Juan, as always.
I'm glad you liked it, Mary.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, we can't, I love, the Mexican horror genre is really nice to have it in there because, we got so used to the fans. They really like to hear podcasts and some of the more obscure Mexican horror films, luchador films. We've done quite a few the Santo ones. Mm-hmm. We've done some Blue Demon. But, I like finding the more obscure. We did that real crazy one, Volcano. I thought that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, there's plenty more out there, but you just got to find one, get the right niche for those.
Keep them coming, one.
So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay, I guess we'll wrap it up. So thank you guys for joining us again.
Okay.
And see you later.
Yes.
Yeah. So till next time.
Thank you for having me.
Your nose is in the wind and your tail to your side.
Until next time. Next bat channel.
That's true. Same bat time, same bat channel.
And don't forget to wear your bat bikini.
Tune in.
Oh, you just had to say that one last time.
Yes.
Yeah, bat bikinis are awesome.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
All right. Night, guys.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Bill Mize, the creator of the Bill Watches Movies podcast, and we're interrupting your regularly scheduled program to ask you a few questions. Number 1, have you been feeling a little stressed these days? Number 2, do you need something to make you laugh? And number 3, would you like to just do nothing but relax and listen to a good story? Now, if you answered yes to the above questions, then I invite you to check out my show, Bill Watches Movies. It's a little bit Hollywood history, a little bit old-time radio, and a little bit Mystery Science Theater 3000, well, except we don't have any maroon janitors, wisecracking robots, or inept mad scientists. What we do have is a trip down memory lane as we take a very unique look at the B movies of yesterday and offer you something to make you smile, something to make you laugh, and something to make you think about what you would do if you realized that Bela Lugosi was working on creating an army of atomic-powered supermen next door. So join the rest of the gentle listeners and come on over to BillMakesPodcast.com or look us up on your favorite podcast subscription and transmission machine and subscribe today. I look forward to telling you a good story each month, powered only by my weird sense of humor and a shot of Woodford Reserve Double Oaked Bourbon. I hope that you'll join me on this journey. Take good care of yourself and those that you love. And hey, keep an eye on your next door neighbor. I mean, you never know.
Adios, Mafia.
Well, they've gone.
For good, John?
No, just for now. It wasn't the right time for us to meet. But there'll be other nights, other stars for us to watch. They'll be back.
The ghosts are moving tonight, restless, hungry.
All right, fellas, here's your story. Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And we cannot keep this a secret any longer.
Wait, Captain. I have found evidence of intelligent beings on this planet.
Look to the skies. It's the B-Movie Cookbook. Menus inspired by 15 of your favorite B-movies from the 1950s, with teenage werewolves, blobs, and enough cheese for everyone.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
But until then, we've got Ed Wood and Vincent Price.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
So impress your friends with dinner and a movie with the B-Movie Cookbook. We've got you covered. Get your copy today at bmoviecookbook.com. That's bmoviecookbook.com.
Let me see that book. I am interested to see what sways your mind so heavily.
Sure thing. Just visit bmoviecookbook.com.
Anybody around here want some coffee?
Transmission.
The good guys always win, even in the 80s.